All right, hello people, and we are carrying on with Dr. Dave Regis's Chess Tactics for Beginners course. And this video, we're going to kick off the chapter on combinations. Now there's, what, 15, I think, different games, something like that in this chapter. So we'll do probably 3 different parts, I think, and split it into smaller chunks so that it's not too bad. So what do we mean by combinations? Well, combinations is, as Dr. Dave puts it in the book, a combination is a set of forcing moves leading to material advantage, so winning pieces, or to checkmate. Usually they rely on more than one tactical idea, hence why it's called a combination, of course. And according to the former world champion from the 20s and 30s, Alexander Alyakin, combinations are the heart of chess. All right, well, let's get to our first game and have a look at some of these combinations. So our first game is from Moscow in 2002. We've got Kulowitz against Geller. And this is, well, it looks like it finished in 8 moves. Okay, well, let's have a bit of a look here and see what happens. So e4, e5. Oh, we don't need the lines for the time being. Knight to f3 and knight to c6. And we have d4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, and queen h4. Okay, fair enough. Knight to c3 from white, bishop to c5 from black. So, okay, all good so far. Bishop to e3. I guess white is wanting to block the fact that 2 pieces are pointing at f2, so the bishop gets in the way. And knight g to e7, and this is where the diagram appears in the book. So is knight to g to e7 a total disaster? Let's have a look. Yep, sure enough, it is. Up goes the bar to +3. Okay, so if you want to press pause here and see what white's next move, we'll see if you can work out white's next move, feel free. Dr. Dave puts in the book 2 ideas in sequence, a jump and an overload. Okay, so yeah, press pause if you want to see if you can work it out. Otherwise, we'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And the first thing is a jump, a discovery. So this move, knight to f3, does 2 things. Firstly, the knight's attacking the queen. And secondly, it discovers an attack from the bishop, the white bishop to the black bishop. So black's now got 2 pieces under attack. The only real way that you can try to defend both is to play queen to h5. So the queen is no longer attacked, and it attacks defends the bishop. And now white's next move is to overload the queen, is to distract the queen, if you like. The queen is now being attacked. I should do the arrow the other way around, really. Queen's now being attacked by the pawn. And of course, if the queen comes off of this line, then bishop takes bishop. So what happens? You can't really play queen takes pawn because bishop takes. This knight's defended, remember? And where else can you go? These 2 squares are held by the white knight. This square is obviously held by both pawns. This square is held by the pawn and the knight and the queen. And any other queen move simply drops this bishop. And of course, if you play bishop takes bishop, pawn takes queen. So, okay, very nice. Okay. Good first game. Nice 2 ideas in one sequence, a basic combination. Okay, the next game, 1969, and we've got Wall against Tauber. The number of times we've had games in these series with this player Wall, I assume it is the same guy each time. And here, Wall wins in 10 moves. So let's have a little look at how this goes. So e4 and e5, knight to f3 and knight to c6. Bishop to c4 and knight to f6, d4 and d6, castles, and then d5. Now that is weird that black has taken 2 moves instead of somehow doing this in one go. It looks like a horrible waste of time, and that's probably one of the reasons the analysis bar has just gone to +2. But anyway, d5. E takes d5 from white, knight takes d5 from black, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, d takes e5, and now knight to b4. I think the bar is about to go shooting north. Yeah, there it goes. It's gone from +1 and a bit to +10. Now, what's going on here? So the tactics, an overload and then a skewer. So if you want to press pause here and find the best move for white, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I will carry on in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so the first thing is the overload. So bishop takes f7 check. Now, if the king captures the bishop, queen takes queen, and white has simply won lots of material. And by the way, you can't play knight here thinking that you're going to win the rook, because it just isn't going to work. You're going to have ways to either trap the knight, or better yet, just play queen here check, and then you'll pick up the knight. So that doesn't even work. So that's no good. So king takes bishop isn't going to do it. You obviously can't go here because of the queen. That will be illegal. If you go king here, well, then we have the skewer that was mentioned, bishop to g5 check. Now the king has to take the bishop. And once again, you can either play bishop takes queen or queen takes queen. Either's good. Let's just do it with the bishop for the sake of making a move. And you've won the enemy queen. Ouchie. So very, very nice. We'll just go back to this position so you can see the pattern. So bishop takes pawn to distract the enemy king, allows queen takes queen. And after bishop takes pawn, if you don't capture, if the king goes here, well, bishop to g5 check, skewers the king. The king must move, and then the bishop can take the queen. Very, very nice. Okay. Let's go to our third game. Now, we've got no player names for this one, so let's just get on to what happens. It's a 9-move game. So e4 and e5. Knight to f3 and knight to c6. Bishop to b5 and knight to f6. Castles from white. Knight takes e4, black goes for the slightly greedy variation, taking the pawn, which is okay, but you'll see what the computer thinks of it. Black's now a pawn up, but the computer still thinks white's fractionally better. So the 5th move for white, d4. a6 from black, attacking the bishop. The bishop retreats back to d3, attacking the knight, so gaining some time. d5, defending the knight. c4 from white, trying to distract the pawn so that you can take the knight again. And e takes d4 from black. Now, I suspect the bar is about to go north slightly. Yeah, there it goes. Only sort of, +2 maybe. So it's not, the end of the universe. But Dr. Dave's comment, black's knight is not supported properly. Let's have a little look at what this might mean. So this is a combination move. It's just crept up to +2, give or take. Look. So have a go at seeing if you can find the best next move for white. This one's a bit more tricky to find because it's not winning the game, but it is getting a material advantage. Otherwise, we'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And the move that was played in the game was pawn takes. And that's threatening this knight. So black has to do something about it. And if you just say, for example, you just move the knight, move the knight back here, well, bishop takes knight. So that's not going to do it. So queen takes pawn, defends the knight. But there is a pattern here. And it's that the rook is on the same line as the king. And in our game, rook to e1 is played. And there's really very little you can do to save the knight here. What are we going to do? Let's say, I would guess that we're going to try f5. Yeah, f5. And then I was going to say knight to d2, but knight to c. Yeah, knight to d2 is knight to c3 is even better. I'm wanting to put it there, look, which is the second best move. Computer says you can actually go to here, and then it all gets terribly complicated. Look, there's a really long line. Let's have a look for fun. So knight to c3, pawn takes, bishop takes, queen takes. Oh my goodness me. This is complicated stuff. Was that actually the best move there, queen takes? Oh, queen takes e4. Oh, wow. So actually the computer's saying that your best bet is just at this point to sacrifice the queen. That's how much trouble you're in. And rook takes queen. So yeah, ouch, what a bit of a mess that was. Okay, so let's go back to this position here. So this knight, remember, is only being defended. It's hanging by a thread, and it is on the same line as its own king. So a real candidate for capture. All right, let's get to our 4th one for this video. Probably hear me turning the page there. We are in a town in Britain. We're in Nottingham. 1946. It's the year after the Second World War. Good Lord. So what are we, as I record this, 75, 76 years ago, depending on what month. And we've got Sargent against Seneck. So let's have a look at this game. So e4, e5. Knight to f3, f5. Oh, my poor Latvian gambit's going to get battered again, I think. Knight to c3 and d6. Well, okay, this is actually okay. Black's not doing too awfully here. The computer prefers white, but it's not a total shambles. All right. d4, the most challenging move. Knight f6. D takes e5. Knight takes e4. Knight takes e4. F takes e4, loads of exchanges, knight to g5, which is protected by this bishop, so the queen can't just chop it off. Bishop to f5 from black, which makes sense. I guess then if white puts the queen here, you can put this in the way. But as you can probably tell from the evaluation bar, this is not going to work. Queen to d5 played by white, which is threatening checkmate here because the knight's defending the square. Black plays queen to d7, which defends this, but of course, this allows the pawn to be taken. So this all looks okay. Black thinks they can defend the rook here because the knight's defending the queen. But now white, of course, wins by a different means, and the pin here, bishop to b5, pinning the queen. I was going to say skewering, pinning the queen to the king. If I tried to play queen takes queen, look, it won't let me because the bishop, excuse me, I didn't mean to do that, because the bishop is pinning the queen. I say I didn't mean to do that, but queen takes bishop is probably the best of a bad bunch, but plus 15. So that was the combination in this game, wasn't it? We did two things. We did a threat of checkmate. At the same time, it's a fork of this square and this square of b7 and f7. And then we have another tactic in the combination when black tries to defend f7. Not only have we got the net on the rook, remember we've learned about nets, but when black plays the defensive move there, we've then got a pin as well. What a series of tactics that is in that short game, in that 9-move game. Okay, one more and then we'll call it for this episode. And we've got a Petrov defense game, but no players in this one. And Dr. Dave has simply called this game Overload and Undermine. So let's get to the key point. And in fact, black wins this one. So we'll flip the board and we'll do it from black's point of view. So e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to f6. So the Petrov defense. Knight takes e5. Oh, and then knight c6. That's called the Stafford Gambit. It's not completely sound, but it's quite entertaining. There's a YouTube chess player called Eric Rosen who plays it all the time with some success. Knight takes d6, pawn takes d6, and e5. Okay, so computer is saying a bit of an advantage to white, but not game-endingly so, just that white's a pawn up, but black in return for the pawn has got maybe some development quickly with the bishops. Maybe can do something with the queen. This pawn might be a bit weak. Yeah, maybe there's some compensation. Who knows? Okay, so move 5 for black. Knight to e4. It has to go somewhere because it was attacked. d3 from white. And bishop to c5 from black. So what's going on here? Well, white's about to fall for a trap that's very similar to what we saw previously. Now, black's already doing very nicely here. d3 wasn't a good move. Look, -2 and a bit, black's winning. But in our game, white takes the pawn. Takes the knight with the pawn, I should say. And suddenly we're looking at -5. So black is winning. Can you find the combination that wins, though? What's the winning move here for black? Press pause if you'd like to have a go. Otherwise, we will carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And the move, hopefully you spotted, because it's very similar to a previous puzzle or a previous game in this episode, is bishop takes f2, check. So we've got this again. If the king captures the bishop, queen takes queen, and black is very happy with life. Black is just a queen up. If the king goes to this square, we've got exactly the same as we had in a previous puzzle where bishop checks and the king has to now move. These squares are guarded by the queen. This square is guarded by the bishop, so is this. So he has to play king takes. And now You've either got the bishop or the queen. Either way, black is going to be way ahead on material. And in fact, -6 now, says the computer. Okay, that will do it for that video. As I say, I think the next one will have 5 games and the next one will have 5 games. So we'll do it into 3 parts, this section on combinations, and go from there. So thanks for watching. Hope that's been useful so far. And I'll be back soon with the next 5 games. Bye for now.